aspirants, welcome to our channel Mentoria IAS. I am Bindu, I am a mentor faculty for UPSC aspirants. At Mentoria, today we are going to see about the future missions of ISRO. India is still celebrating the successful landing of Chandrayaan-3, but ISRO is getting ready to venture many other space missions in future. Let us see what are all the future missions of ISRO in today's session. The first mission is Aditya L1 mission. It is the mission to Sun. It is going to be the remarkable in the history of ISRO. Why? Because in India, it is first of its kind. We are reaching the Sun. And let us see what this Aditya L1 mission, the objective of this Aditya L1 mission is. The main objective is to study the Sun in greater detail. So what to study in the Sun? It is about the photosphere of the Sun, the chromosphere of the Sun, and also the outer layer, just like the coronal gases of the Sun. So what is this photosphere of the Sun? When we look at the Sun, you will see a bright light around the Sun, right? So this circle of bright light around the Sun is called as the photosphere, Sun's photosphere. And what is a chromosphere? The gases, the thick layer of gases, the glow of gases that are present around the photosphere is called the chromosphere of the Sun. And the outermost layer of the atmosphere, Sun's atmosphere, is considered to be the corona, right? So if you consider photosphere as the innermost layer of Sun's atmosphere, corona is considered to be the outermost layer of the Sun's atmosphere. So apart from these, this Aditya L1 mission is also studying about the magnetic field of the Sun in detail, right? So can you please let me know what are all the other countries which have already launched their space probes near to the Sun? I know it is one of the space agencies would be definitely NASA. And what is the most recent solar probe launched by the NASA? Provide your answer in the comment section, right? And coming to the launch vehicle of this Aditya L1 mission, it is going to be the Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle of XL variant. Okay. And what are all the payloads here? Here the number of payloads in this Aditya L1 mission is 7. So among this, there will be spectrometer, X-ray detectors, and also the other, variants which are responsible for studying the, magnetic fields of the Sun. Okay, so these are all the 7 payloads in Aditya L1 mission. And coming to the expected launch date, it is going to be the September 2nd, 2023. And the destination means where this Aditya L1 mission is going to be launched exactly. It is the low Earth orbit, the LEO. So we all are going to study about the different types of orbit in coming sessions. So there are many types of orbits like this geostationary orbit, low Earth orbit, medium Earth orbit, this polar orbit. So what is this low Earth orbit? So the range is from 160 kilometers to 1000 kilometers. Okay, so if there is any space probe that is launched, in between 160 kilometers to 1000 kilometers just above the Earth, that is going to be the low Earth orbit. Okay, so if the range is more than that, it is going to be the medium Earth orbit, geostationary orbit, etc. We are going to discuss about them in detail. And another important thing here to be noted is it is going to be launched at hollow orbit of L1 Lagrange point between the Earth and Sun. So what is this Lagrange point? You might have come across this term in many other space probes. What is this Lagrange point L1? So in between the Sun and the Earth, there are 5 Lagrange points from L1 to L5. So why these points are like very important, with respect to this solar probe? This L1 Lagrange point, usually at Lagrange points, the gravitational pull of 2 large masses, consider the large masses here as Earth and Sun. So the gravitational pull of these 2 large masses, they are precisely going to be negligible, or they are going to be equal to the centripetal force. Okay, centripetal force of the small probe that we are launching in between these two masses. Okay, so here the gravitational, precisely we can say that the gravitational pull of both the earth and the sun is going to be negligible at these points. So that is the reason why these space probes which are launched in those specific points, they are going to revolve in a constant pattern without undergoing any greater impact from the gravitational pull of these two things, I mean these two masses, right? So here this is a point to be remembered. So this is about the Aditya L1 mission. So once it is launched, it is definitely going to be remarkable in the history of Indian Space Agency. Next, coming to the Gaganyaan mission of ISRO. So the Gaganyaan mission, the name itself says something. Gaganyaan means travel, mission to the space. And here the main objective of this Gaganyaan mission is human space lift mission. That means in this Gaganyaan, ISRO is aiming to send at least 3 crew members into the space. Where in the space exactly? It is the LEO, that is low Earth orbit, which is around 400 kilometers away from the Earth. And they are going to orbit around the Earth for around 3 days and bringing back the crew members safely to the Earth. So the main objective here is sending the crew members. They will be orbiting around the Earth for around 3 days at an altitude of around 400 kilometers above the Earth in lower Earth orbit and coming back to the Earth safely. So that is the Gaganyaan mission. And what are all the two modules here? The service module and the crew capsule module. The crew capsule module, the name itself says it is providing, the crew capsule module will provide the Earth-like ambience inside the, the crew capsule module for the astronauts who are just, visiting the Earth orbit. Okay, so it is the crew capsule module will be providing the Earth-like conditions. And coming to the service module, it is going to provide whatever support that is required for the crew module while they are orbiting around the Earth. So these are all the two modules that are present in this space mission. Okay, so here the launch vehicle is LVM Mark 3. So this is also the same launch vehicle used for Chandrayaan 3 as well. So here it is called as the Human Launch Vehicle Mark 3. So it is considered to be the human variant of this launch vehicle Mark 3. Okay, and what are all the tests conducted till now successfully? It is the pad abort test. So when there is any question that is related to pad abort test, so this test is relevant to this Gaganyaan mission. You have to remember. And crew escape system, integrated main parachute airdrop test. So the crew capsule, so once the job assigned to them is successfully done, they have to come back and they were given the parachutes. That crew capsule module, it is going to drop in the Indian seas with the help of a parachute. Okay, so it is integrated main parachute airdrop test. And the Vyomitra robot. So along with the crew members, ISRO is also planning to send robot, the Vyomitra robot. It is looking like a female robot in order to assist the crew members in the crew capsule. So ISRO is against to the trial, using the animals. So previously animals like, rabbits, chimps and all, they were sent to the space in order to, examine their behavior in the space. But now India is giving a new try. It is taking it to a next level by sending a robot, along with the crew members, and the robot is Vyomitra. And what is the destination here? It is the low Earth orbit. We have already understood that the crew capsule is, orbiting around the Earth at an altitude of 400 kilometers. So just now we have discussed what is the range of this low Earth orbit. It is from 160 kilometers to 1000 kilometers. So whenever there is a launch in between this range, it is considered to be the launch in the low Earth orbit. Okay, so that is why it is called as the low Earth orbit range. And when was the expected launch? It is 2025. So India is definitely going to achieve this stint, along with, till now there are many other space agencies who have already achieved this, right? And India is going to reach this milestone soon. Coming to the next space missions. Another future mission of ISRO is reusable launch vehicle technology demonstrator. So what is this reusable launch vehicle? The name itself says it is reusable. So if you consider any space mission, there are two things to be identified. One is the payload and another one is the launch vehicle or the rockets. So what will happen to the rockets once they launch these payloads in their respective destinations? So what will happen to these rockets? They will just end up falling in the oceans, right? So what will happen if these rockets will be reused multiple times for the space missions? The immediate objective would be you can reduce the cost of the space missions, right? So for every launch, you have to design the payloads, you have to design the rockets, and many other costs will be involved in any space mission. But once, if you are able to use these rockets for multiple times, the immediate objective for this kind of space mission is you can reduce the cost of the overall mission, right? So here, after using the reusable launch vehicles, you can reduce the cost up to 80% if you consider the present cost. And what are all the other motives? So these reusable launch vehicles they are reliable, they can be used for multiple times and they will reduce the overall cost of the space mission. So India is developing new technology, or this technology is already there? So if you consider NASA, so NASA has been conducting many space flights, many space missions. So it has been using these reusable launch vehicles. So imagine like NASA is sending some humans in a space flight. So what will happen to them? Again, they have to come back, right? So in these kind of space missions, so NASA have been using these reusable launch vehicles. Apart from NASA, SpaceX, so it has been, trying these kind of launches using its, Falcon heavy rockets are there with the SpaceX. So SpaceX is also trying these kind of reusable launch vehicles. So definitely it is going to be a boon for India once we successfully deploy these reusable launch vehicles. It is definitely going to be a major milestone in the space research of India, because India's future space mission. So who knows, even we Indians will go to will hire a space flight and we will go for a trip around the space. Definitely it is going to happen in future, right? So in these kind of space flights from India, so in India's space research program, this reusable launch vehicles, they will be definitely useful in order to promote our space research program. And here these are all the test future experiments that are successfully conducted using this space reusable launch vehicle. This is all about the reusable launch vehicle, and if you get to know any information about this launch vehicles, you can add the point to this present note, right? So coming to the next space mission, it is Small Satellite Launch Vehicle, SSLV. So what is this Small Satellite Launch Vehicle? The name itself says this launch vehicle is used to launch small satellites, right? What is the motive? What is the special motive behind this designing of this small satellite launch vehicles? So the main motive here is to build a rocket that is smaller than the present launch vehicles, PSLV, GSLV, they are able to, carry the payloads up to, GSLV can carry a payload up to 8,000, kgs. So in order to launch smaller payloads, in order to, launch smaller payloads into the low Earth and sun synchronous orbits, so ISRO is designing these small satellite launch vehicles in order to launch the small payloads into the low Earth orbits. So the main motive here is this. And what are, till now, did we achieve any success here? Right? The very first test with this small satellite launch vehicle that was conducted, I think, way back in 2016 or so, it was a failure. But this SSLV D2, which is conducted in the year 2023, and it has also successfully launched 3 satellites, 3 payloads. One is EOS, Janus and Azadi Sat in the low Earth orbit. Okay, so this small satellite launch vehicle, it is able to launch the payloads in the low Earth orbit and sun synchronous orbit. So these are all the 2 destinations for this, launching of the payloads for this launch vehicle, right? And what is the expected launch of this SSLV D3 flight? It is definitely in 2023. So let us see how far it is going to be successful. And you also identify like what are all the other advantages of designing these kind of small satellite launch vehicles. Okay, so provide your thoughts in the comment section. Another innovation of ISRO is NISAR satellite. So what is the full form of NISAR here? NASA ISRO Synthetic Aperture Radar. So in this space mission, ISRO is going to collaborate with NASA in order to launch this NISAR satellite. And what is this radar? So it is NASA ISRO Synthetic Aperture Radar. So what is the full form of radar? It is radio detection and ranging. So what are all the applications of radars here? So in our day-to-day lives, they have been used in many circumstances. So one is controlling the air traffic. So radars have been used in navigation of ships, in tracking the satellites, and apart from it, in to detect the atmospheric phenomena that is happening around. So radars have wide variety of applications. So radars will be operating in a specific band of frequencies. Okay, so here it is L band, S band, C band, etc. So L band is the lowest frequency range, that is 1 to 2 gigahertz, followed by S band, that is 2 to 4, C band is 4 to 8. There are many other bands like K band, Q band, Q band. So these are all the band of frequencies where the radars are operated. So NISAR is one such kind, and here ISRO is collaborating with NASA. So in this collaboration, what NASA is contributing here? So it is contributing the L-band synthetic aperture radar, and this and our ISRO is contributing this S-band synthetic aperture radar. So if you consider these as the payloads, and the launch vehicle is provided by ISRO here, and what is a launch vehicle? It is our geosynchronous launch vehicle. Okay, so we all know whenever we are launching these kind of communication satellites, that is definitely going to be the GSLVs, right? So yeah, and what is the main objective of this NISAR satellite? In order to observe and understand the natural processes, the changes in the natural processes occurring on the surface of Earth. So what are all the natural changes in the natural processes that have been occurring? So if you consider the ecosystem disturbances, those are occurring because of the climate change activities, the collapse of ice sheets for that matter because of global warming, the landslides because of cloudbursts, right? The tsunamis, volcanoes, whatnot. So there are so many natural disasters and man-made disasters that are happening because of this, changing ecosystem of the Earth. So this satellite is definitely going to be a remarkable innovation. Why? Because see, these are all the calamities which are quite unpredictable. What if we are able to detect these calamities at least, a little earlier than sudden, right? So I believe this is going to be definitely a major advantage in, the future prediction of these natural disasters, right? And the main achievement of this NISAR satellite, once it is launched, is the data that is collected by the NISAR satellite, it is going to reveal the active crust, means the changes happening in the crust of the earth. Okay, so this is definitely going to be a major milestone in the entire space history itself, right? So here you have to, the things you have to remember is the launch vehicle is provided by India, that is ISRO, and the payloads are provided by these both these space agencies. Okay, and the expected launch of this is in the year 2024. This is about the NISAR satellite. Coming to the other future mission of ISRO, it is XPOSat, X-ray polarimeter satellite. So ISRO, in collaboration with Raman Research Institute, so it is designing this XPOSat, and the expected launch of this is in the same year 2023. The launch vehicle is PSLV. The destination of this satellite is LEO, that is low Earth orbit. So till now what we have discussed till now, so all these launches are going to happen in the low Earth orbit itself. So as we have come across these kind of terms, we are going to deal with these types of orbits in a different session. Okay, so in the next class I am going to discuss with you about the types of orbits. Okay, and coming back to this X-ray polarimeter satellite. So here you are able to find out two main terms. So X-ray and what is this polarization or polarimeter. So the main objective of this mission is to study the polarization of cosmic X-rays. Okay, so what are these X-rays? We all have learned about the electromagnetic spectrum in our school days, right? So what is the example? Where do you find this electromagnetic spectrum? So the exact, I'll give you an exact example. So if you consider the sunlight that is coming to the earth, it is nothing but, the radiation is nothing but the electromagnetic spectrum. Okay, so if you consider the band of this electromagnetic spectrum, after the visible light, you have UV light followed by X-rays, gamma rays and all. So if you consider the wavelength and the frequency of this electromagnetic spectrum, so if you consider the visible rays and the X-rays, okay, so X-rays are considered to be the low wavelength and high frequency and high energy waves compared to the visible light. Okay, so this is about the X-rays in electromagnetic spectrum. And what do you mean by polarization? Have you ever used the polarized goggles? Right? So have you seen the difference while you use the polarized goggles? So the main advantage of using the polarized goggles is the clarity of the vision, and another advantage is you can get rid of that light glare that is happening. That means you are using a material, a filter for the polarization of the visible light. In the same way, when the X-rays are passed through a material or through a filters in order to observe like what's the process of polarization happening even in X-rays. Okay, so this satellite is mainly deployed in order to study the process of polarization in cosmic X-rays. And what is the overall motto of this? To study the radiation in total. So why do we need to study the radiation? Because that is the sunlight that we are getting from the sun every day. So that radiation is impacting us every day. So we are suffering from the UV radiation, right? So in the same way, like how the X-rays are also impacting us. So the radiation is a part and parcel of this electromagnetic spectrum. Okay, right. And the launch vehicle here used is the Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle. And what are all the payloads? It is the POLIX, that is polarimeter instrument in X-rays. It is supplied by the Raman Research Institute, and X-ray spectroscopy timing expect, that is another payload. It is provided by ISRO. Okay, so these are all the two payloads to be remembered. So if you like encounter such kind of topics, no need to like put too much of effort into getting too many details, of what is this spectroscopy, what are these X-rays, what is the process of polarization. So that is nothing to do with this, competitive exams. So those are like useful for your subject specializations. Okay, so here what you require here is what is a launch vehicle, what is a launch date, what are all the payloads. And if there is any other research institute apart from ISRO is contributing for this development. Okay, so you have to precisely reading the information, and don't go into too many details because that will consume a lot of your time. Okay, you will end up like wasting your time. So just remember what are all the things that are required for your exam. So coming to the next innovation of ISRO, it is LUPEX, Lunar Polar Exploration Mission. So LUPEX, if you come across this LUPEX in the last week in the newspaper, so it is considered to be the succession of this Chandrayaan-3 in fact. Okay, so why? Because ISRO in collaboration with JAXA, that is Japanese Space Research Institute, is deploying this LUPEX. Okay, so the main objective of this LUPEX is to study, it is also studying the south pole of the moon, and it also have the payload of lander and rover. Okay, so the two payloads here is a lander and rover, and what is the expected launch date? 2026. Okay, so what is the contribution of Japan and India here? So Japan is providing the launch vehicle called H3 launch vehicle and a rover. And what India is providing? It is providing a lander. Okay, so this LUPEX is considered to be the succession of this Chandrayaan-3 by many scientists in ISRO. Why? Because it is also studying the south pole of this moon, and it is also continuation. It is a continuation of the achievement, what Chandrayaan-3 has achieved till now. Right, so here the points to remember is it is a collaboration between Japan and India, and India is providing the lander while Japan is providing the rover and launch vehicle. Okay, so these are all the future missions of ISRO, and whenever you come across any news article related to these kind of news, okay, just note down your points. This is all for today. Hope this session is insightful. So in another sessions we are going to come up with, so as we have discussed we discussed about the low earth orbit, geosynchronous orbit, etc. So we will do the type of orbits in one class, the type of launch vehicles in another class. Okay, so keep following Mentoria for future updates. Thank you. Have a good day.